Good morning and welcome to the December 16th Technical Review Committee meeting. The first item of business this morning are our announcements. Do we have any announcements this morning? I think item number 6, we have a request to continue on 393 in Nuit Lane. Anyone here representing that project? 393 in Nuit Lane, item number 6 on the agenda this morning. Bob Baronti is the reviewer, and he indicated that there was a request to continue this item. I will wait a few more minutes to get to that item, but I'm expecting to continue that, and we'll just take them in order then. Review and approval of the minutes. Anyone have any changes to the minutes from December 2nd?
I don't see any changes. Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the December 2nd TRC minutes as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Apologize for the construction interruption. We'll move right into project review. First item this morning is Community Plaza. It's a minor development reviewed by Tim Brown. Stephen, if you could introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Mr. Brown has requested that this item be continued to the January 20th, 2021 TRC meeting.
Anyone here representing the applicant this morning? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to continue this item to the January 20th, 21 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location.
Motion to continue.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do you have a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to January 20, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. In this location. Next item is the Holly Grove subdivision. This is a minor development also reviewed by Tim Brown. Stephen, if you could introduce this one for us.
Yes, this is a minor development order application submitted by Jenkins Engineering, Inc., requesting approval to develop 5 single-family residential lots and associated infrastructure on 3.39 plus or minus acres with the future land use of residential in a zoning category of neighborhood infill. There appears to be some outstanding planning comments, some environmental concerns, as well as some floodplain concerns. But I'll defer to the applicant to discuss the project further.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning. I believe the environmental and the floodplain are actually just conditions of the approval, if I'm not mistaken. Tim did have a few minor site data table clarification items. I don't think they're very significant. I think the biggest comment was from Public Works with a request for a 50-foot right-of-way. There's currently 30 feet there now, and the applicant has agreed to the 50-foot right-of-way. So it's just a matter of us adding to that to the final plans, but I don't believe there's anything significant. This was a reduction down to 5 lots. This, everyone's probably aware, it started at 17.
Yeah, this has been a significant change in this development, with full participation by the neighbors and the applicant. Thank you very much for working with the neighborhood. I do agree that the outstanding comments are very minor, and the floodplain comments and the environment comments are take a moment to entertain any technical questions or technical comments from anyone in the audience or anyone on Zoom. Anyone wishing to make a comment about this particular application? Seeing no hands up on Zoom and no hands in our room, we will entertain a recommended motion.
If I could first, please have the staff report entered into the record.
Yes, sir, so entered.
Great. The recommended motion would be approval pending satisfaction of any outstanding comments.
We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to development order subject to satisfaction of outstanding comments and the conditions offered in the staff report. Thank you, Stephen. Next item is Highway 283 Commercial. This is a minor development, also reviewed by Tim Brown. How do we let Tim go on vacation when the entire agenda is his? But thank you very much for getting the heavy lifting of getting the staff reports completed, and thank you, Stephen, for filling in for him. Highway 283 Commercial.
Yeah, staff is requesting a continuance to the January 20th, 2021 TRC meeting.
We have a request to continue. Do we have a motion at the dais?
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion at the dais. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the January 20, 2021, hard to say, TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That moves us to item number 5, Salt Air Planned Unit Development. This is a major development reviewed by Stephen Shawn. Stephen, if you could introduce this one.
Yes. This is a major development order application submitted by O'Connell and Associates on behalf of 30A Lofts LLC, requesting approval of a detailed planned unit development to construct 34,200 square feet of commercial development, 256 apartment units to include driveway connections to US 98 and associated infrastructure on approximately 24.5 plus or minus acres. This project site has a future land use of mixed use and zoning districts of village mixed use and small neighborhood, and is located on Highway 98, approximately half mile from the intersection of 393 and 98. The property can be identified by the parcel numbers in your staff report. And if I could have the revised staff report that you see in front of you entered into the record, please.
So entered.
The bulk of planning staff, actually all of planning staff and environmental and floodplain comments have been satisfied at this time. There are some outstanding engineering comments that I will defer to the applicant to discuss with the board.
Thanks, Stephen.
Morning, John Nash with O'Connell and Associates Consulting Engineers, with an agent for this particular project. As Stephen said, we've responded to all the comments. I'm not sure if they've all been reviewed yet. I know Environmental and Planning have reviewed them. We've spoken with Engineering and Public Works regarding their comments, and we're confident that we've addressed those. And if there's any outstanding issues, I believe they can be minor. We would ask that we get continued to the first available DRB meeting. January.
Thank you,
Mr.
John.
Chair. Yeah, so we did speak yesterday, John and I, about these comments. I have not had a chance to review them. However, we went through each one, itemized basically. Two of the big concerns I had were with floodplain, which I believe our floodplain manager has approved or signed off on the revised or the response provided. I believe they showed a no-rise condition with the floodplain.
That's correct.
Right. So that was one of my main concerns. And then I had a few traffic comments in regards to some credits they were using for bus shelters and kiosks. I know some of that stuff's been removed. Can you speak to what was revised on that?
Specifically, no, but I can say that my understanding is that the credits that were associated with the bus shelter and the kiosk that were provided prior to were removed, and the traffic concurrency amount was revised accordingly.
Right, and that was my main concern, because we were, or they were accounting for credits for informational kiosks and bus stations, and I didn't see that on the site plan. So according to the response there, I think they removed those from the traffic report. And other than that, the remaining comments I have are relatively minor in nature. So I feel
Subject to satisfactory response to or confirmation of the response to comments provided, comfortable moving this forward to planning commission?
yes.
Excuse me, it'd be going to Design Review Board.
Next stage. We'll entertain a motion to move this forward, subject to confirmation of satisfaction of outstanding comments, to next step in the review process, which would be the Design Review Board.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Brandy. We'll take one moment to entertain any technical questions or technical comments about this particular application. Anyone in the room or on Zoom wish to make a comment about this application? No hands up in either location. There will be a public hearing at Design Review Board, Planning Commission, and the Board of County Commissioners prior to the final approval of this project as far as the review process. We have a motion at the dais. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved forward, or to move forward to the Design Review Board. Thank you, John. The next item is item number 6, 393 and Nuit Lane. And this is Bob Baronti's project. We have a request to continue to the January 6, 2021, pending a resubmittal. Technical review committee meeting. Can we entertain a motion to continue this to January 6th?
Motion to continue.
We have a motion to continue to January 6th. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the January 6, 2021 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That moves us to item number 7, the Dollar Subdivision Easement Abandonment. This is a petition for abandonment reviewed by Tim Brown. Thank you, Stephen, for introducing it for us.
Yes, no problem. This is a petition for abandonment application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates, Inc., requesting an abandonment of the western 33 feet of a 66-foot government patent easement on .13 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential in the zoning category of neighborhood infill. If I could have the staff report entered into the record, please.
So entered.
There are a couple of outstanding comments. It looks like a planning comment is provide the notice of abandonment easement of easement roadway. And then the Public Works Department has also indicated that they do not support the abandonment. Staff has one concern. Upon reviewing the submittals this morning, there has not been a property posting, a proof of posting submitted to the portal, though I must admit that I'm not sure if it requires it at this time, and I was hoping the board could clarify for both myself and the applicant.
Well, we do require sign posting. Do we have affidavit of sign posting?
I've contacted my assistant who handles that in our office. I have not been able to get a response, but I did. It occurred to me that sign postings for TRC is only required for less than minors and minors. Is that correct? Not if it goes to the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners.
To tell you the truth, I can't remember.
And it may be a moot point if Annie's already done that and we can send it in to Steve. I just don't recall it. Best of my recollection, it's only required because this is the only opportunity for public input for a minor or less than minor development.
Let me suggest that we defer confirmation of that requirement and go ahead and hear the item this morning, subject to confirming whether or not that's a requirement and whether or not that's been provided.
All right, agreed. We've reviewed the staff report, and aside from the notice discussion, the only other comment is Public Works, basically standard statement that they don't agree with the abandonment. I'd like to speak with Public Works. There are some unique circumstances with this particular easement. It does not provide any access to the north or to any other property. Furthermore, it does not appear on any title search that the prior firm that did the design work on this, or the owner, all three of those title reports, the easement did not appear on.
And I recall this particular subdivision approval, and I do not recall that either being offered as part of the.
I was surprised to see when the owner purchased the property, he said his title, he ran full title on it and did not have any notation of an easement. So there's been 3 instances. I assumed perhaps it was abandoned. Actually, the county surveyor came across this from the original patent easement maps. But as you're probably familiar with, those patent easements show the easements that were there, when it was first formulated, and over time a number of those easements have been abandoned. So we rely on the title work to tell us if they're there actually or not. But we cannot find any evidence of a recorded abandonment either. So that's where we're at.
Here.
Correct. So I would ask that we allow this to go forward to the Planning Commission pending confirmation of the notice concern.
Can we entertain a motion to that effect?
I'll make that into a form of motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Brandy. And just as a point, Planning Department does not recommend approval of any of these abandonments. We take the position that is in the purview of the Board of County Commissioners as a legislative action. But with that said, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is approved to move forward to the next step, subject to confirmation of the notice requirement and whether, and if so, whether or not it was provided.
Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us to item number 8. This also reviewed by Tim Brown.
Yes, this is a minor development order application submitted by Nautilus Civil Engineers, Inc., requesting approval to construct a 3,378 square foot commercial building and associated infrastructure on .46 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential and a zoning category of neighborhood infill. If I could have the staff report entered into the record, please.
So entered.
Thank you. There are apparently a number of outstanding comments from planning, environmental, engineering, and like maybe GIS. No, that looks like it's satisfied. Public Works, excuse me. But that is all I have on this. So if you have any questions for the applicant, I believe he's here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Stephen. Morning, Curtis.
Morning. Curtis Smith, Nautilus Civil Engineers. We met on this yesterday with Public Works and Matt Carpenter regarding the use of the rights-of-way on this and the Tanglewood project. We talked through several things, and I believe we've got a plan to revise this particular site to address several of the issues that we've got. Because there are a significant amount of revisions we need to do on this, and because we still need the legal determination, we'd like to continue for 1 month.
To the 20th of January?
The second TRC meeting, yes.
Yes, January 20. We have a request to continue to January 20. In the event that there's anyone here that wishes to speak on this particular item, since it is a minor development, there will be another opportunity. But if you're here on Zoom or if you're here in the room, this would be your opportunity to make a comment. Anyone wishing to make a comment at this time? Yes, sir, in the back.
Alex Rucheleau, Rouchaleau. I'm a local engineer and a resident of the Beechview Heights subdivision. A couple technical comments which may be getting addressed, I'm not sure, but I wanted to just bring some attention to it. First, there was a public meeting held for this development back in August, and I did email public comments, and I noticed in the report it states that no public comments have been received, so I just want to, for the record, make everyone aware public comments are out there. The residents were opposed of the development, and so I'd like that to be stated in the
Yes, sir.
technical report as well.
We have received public comments from you and others on this particular development.
Okay. I'd like to also discuss the access off Sunset. I'd just like to bring attention to the Land Development Code, Section 5.04.04, access management. And based on that, I don't believe that access should be allowed off of Sunset due to the requirement of a 300-foot, sorry, my brain is freezing here, but additional 300-foot boundary in order to have that second access. They only have about 200 feet off of Sunset. In addition, if you have the 30 or so trips coming out of there, they're going to queue up along Sunset. They're going to block the residential driveways, and they're going to block Sunset Ave in terms of access to residents. They're going to decrease the traffic flow. I understand the county's point to improve traffic flow on 30A, but by doing the second access on Sunset, you're going to extremely impact the traffic flow within that subdivision. You're going to create a lot of hazards for both pedestrians and vehicles and residents who live there. And I just want to reiterate that. In addition, I feel that there needs to be stormwater retention for the 100-year event, and the overflow needs to be into the 30A right-of-way and not onto Sunset. There needs to be significant vegetation buffer along the south side of the development between the single-family homes, Sunset, and the development. I want there to be, and it may be shown, I'm not sure, I couldn't tell from the one-page site plan, but clearly show all outdoor seating that's going to be allowed, show it on the plans, and account for it in the parking. I'm concerned that whatever gets approved by this development will slightly change once the DO is issued, and there will be a lot more, possibly a use will change, or there will be a lot more use that is not accounted for in parking. So those are just my comments.
Do that use?
So it's proposed as a deli. It was previously proposed as a restaurant, and now I don't know, I'd have to look, but I don't know if the parking requirement is different for a deli takeout versus a sit-down restaurant. But I guess I'd be concerned that it may get approved as a deli for takeout. Once the DO is issued, it would get changed to a restaurant, which would require a lot more parking. They may have tables of outdoor seating that were not shown on the original plans that are now turning into code enforcement issues. So I'm just trying to take care of everything during the technical piece so that we don't, as residents, have to continuously call in code enforcement to deal with it. So trying to avoid a Stinky's restaurant kind of issue with parking all over the roads and things like that. So
Thanks, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, sir, in the back.
Morning.
Good morning.
My name is Rick Barry, B-A-R-R-Y. Our family has been living in Beachview Heights subdivision since 1992. It's a quiet, peaceful neighborhood, an interesting cross-section of Americana. And although I do not claim to be a personal representative of the people that live in Beachview Heights, everyone that I've talked to is very concerned and is very much against this project for the obvious impact that it would have on our daily life. It's listed as a minor development order, but the concern is that it would have a major development impact on the quality of our life. And I would just ask that you consider that in making these decisions that will impact us, especially the ingress egress with the traffic. That's a major concern. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, sir.
John McInnes, M-C-I-N-N-I-S, and we are building a new house at 86 Sunset Avenue, one lot over from where the proposed project is stated to go in. My son, being a restaurant owner of numerous restaurants throughout the United States, I'm very familiar with this type of situation. What concerns me is whether it's a restaurant or whether it's a deli, regardless, it started out, they're only proposing or showing about 20 parking spots. One of those being handicapped also. What concerns me with this is we all know to run a restaurant or a deli, you've got to have 5 or 6 to 10 maybe employees. So you're going to take up a major part of the parking issues there, unless they're going to somehow carpool to come to work, with that, limiting the amount of parking to very, very little. What's going to happen is the overflow of that parking is going to be right on the side of the road on Sunset. It's, as the gentleman just said, it's a quiet little neighborhood. You know, we're building there. We're hoping to move in within the next 30 days in light of having our grandkids come up and have a good time and all. And we're very, very concerned about the parking, the amount of fast traffic that'll be coming out, especially with an ingress egress submitted as the last plan shows being on Sunset and not on 30A. I'm not against development. It's the American way, but I think there could be something better, you know, a doctor's office or something put there that wouldn't have such an enormous amount of constant traffic and all that's going to wind up being on our street. And because face it, you know, people are going to come and where are they going to park? Well, they're going to park on the road, you know. So, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Anyone else wishing to make a comment? Yes, sir. Come to the podium.
My name is Brad Jostin, J-O-S-T-E-N. I actually own the residential lot that butts up against this property, and we also own Elmo's Grill, which obviously is next door. I'm not against development either. You know, I mean, we always make the joke that that side 38 is not going to look the same in 10 years. It's just not. It's going to build. But the problem is the way they're designing it. They now show a dumpster butting up against my residential lot. And they did actually approach us about purchasing a residential lot. However, our notice held as one note for the two properties. I can't split it off. That was done by the previous owner. But I have a dumpster 10 feet from my lot. I mean, nobody wants a dumpster that's going to have food thrown in it 10 feet from a residential lot. I know, John, we talk constantly, you know, and we've changed how we've done business to try and ease up on things. Like, we used to do music from 5 to 10. Now we do it from, you know, 6 to 9. We've done everything. We've tried to tailor back things. We actually even cut down our number of seats in our restaurant as far as how many we actually have to try and get along with our neighbors as much as possible. But 20 parking spots and 3,300 square foot restaurant, you're going to have 10 employees. End of story. You're going to have 10. That's half your spots gone. There's just simply not enough space. It's, for lack of better terms, a $10 tree in a $2 hole. Something can be done with that property, but at the same time, though, the building that they're trying to put there is too big for the property. Like John just alluded to, is that, you know, something can go there. That's fine. You know, I'm not against development in any way, shape, or form. But trying to put that particular item there, it doesn't make sense, especially since Sunset, that is a, you know, residential road. That is a residential road, and like you said, people will park down that road. We already battled it over on Tanglewood with us. I went and put a sign up not that long ago, and somebody took it down. But we constantly go out there, and we constantly try and get people to stop parking down that road, and it's a battle for us. It's going to be double the battle on both sides of that area if we try and do something like that. So, like I said, my biggest concern is the value of my residential lot.
Could I ask one question? I mean, you speak with some credibility about the problems you're describing as the owner of Elmo's just up the street. And I appreciate those comments. Where is the Elmo's dumpster located?
Elmo's dumpster is on the south side of our property, actually up against this property, but it's not against the residential side. If they ever ask me to move it, I'll move it, no questions asked. It's just simply where it was at when we purchased the restaurant.
And Elmo's is immediately north of this?
Yes, sir.
Across the alley.
Yeah, it's across the alley.
That dumpster location be adjacent to the lot immediately west of this subject lot?
Big north. Sorry, I'm confused. What are you talking about?
You said it's on the south side of your lot?
Ours is on the southeast side. It's out there in the parking lot. Yeah.
Okay, closer to the 30A side?
Yeah, it's where it's where it was at when we purchased the restaurant.
Maybe it's not sitting in the scenic quarter buffer.
What's that?
Maybe it's not sitting in the scenic quarter buffer of 30A.
I don't know what that is, to be honest with you.
The first 20 feet off the right of way.
I'm sure it's 20 feet. It should be 20 feet.
Okay,
off.
hopefully it's not in that.
Yeah.
But thank you for your comments. There is some redesign on both this one and another similar application. Restaurant. We did meet yesterday, and we had a number of questions, suggestions, and take a look at this particular application.
And like I said, I'm not against anything going, I mean, truth be told, anytime something opens up, it's better for our area. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's another attraction, but it's just the way that it's designed, it's just simply the direction of it. And my biggest concern is the residential lot. That is my biggest concern, because that's an investment of ours that nobody's going to want to build a house right behind a commercial building if I try to sell a residential lot. So, that's all. Right.
Anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lucy Kanokova. I live on 67 Sunset Avenue. My concerns are pretty much the
Could you
same.
spell your last name for
Sure.
the clerk, please?
Kanokova, K-A-N-O-K-O-V-A. Okay. I live on 67 Sunset Avenue. My concerns are pretty much the same as you heard. The parking, the overall disruption of the neighborhood. I have kids, other people have kids. The exit onto Sunset Avenue is just not a good idea. It's gonna create safety issues. And like they said, the size of the restaurant, it just doesn't have enough parking spaces. So I feel like they're gonna be parking all over Sunset. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to make a comment about this application? And again, we have a request to continue motion on the floor, which means this will be heard again. Anyone else on Zoom? Anyone else in the room? Yes, sir. One more.
Rodriguez, and I recently moved to the neighborhood. I'm actually
Spell your last name.
Jose.
State your name and spell your last name for the record,
Jose,
please.
is Jose, last name Rodriguez. And I recently moved there because it's a quiet neighborhood. My kids this morning, I asked them, how they would feel if they have this restaurant there. I talked to them about it, and they said they won't be able to go out there to the street like they now do. They ride the bike around, and if you have that exit through Sunset, it'll really damage the place where they actually play. Anyway, so that's my main concern. If you just leave the entrance and the exit through 38, it'll be fine. But just concerned about the kids.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? One hand on Zoom.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Rice.
Yes, last name R-I-C-E, first name Jeff. Agree with the comments of my neighbors. I also live in the subdivision on Tanglewood. Very, very concerned about them putting access onto Sunset and pushing their commercial traffic into our neighborhood. And as it does get backed up on Sunset, because that's right across from the school, et cetera, it's going to come around Tanglewood as well. And as you guys are aware, the same developers trying to put commercial traffic on Tanglewood. So really doubling down on pushing trying to put commercial traffic into the neighborhood street, which is not safe. It's out of character with the neighborhood. And we're very concerned about spillover parking as well. In addition, I don't think we've really mentioned, but just the other things around noise and nighttime light, and is there any plan for privacy barriers to put up to shield some of that from the neighbors? Would be something that would be really important. Hours of operation, et cetera, with young kids trying to get to sleep, et cetera. And I did note you guys said that y'all met yesterday and had some suggestions about how they could deal with this issue. It'd be great if you guys could share that with us so we can also be up to speed on what you're thinking.
Those comments will be referenced or reflected in the resubmittal that will come back in sometime prior to, or according to the deadline for meeting the January 20th.
Yeah, I know. As neighbors, we're playing catch up because we keep getting, every time we look at this, it changes. So
Yes,
If
sir,
there's
and
some
there are
reason
going to be
that-
some significant changes, and I just ask you to wait for the new plan when it comes out, and get an opportunity to review that. You can dial into our Citizen Serve system and look at the exact same documents that the planning reviewer and the engineering reviewers look at. I don't have a list of those comments today, but we talked about pretty much everything everybody's talked about this morning.
Okay, well, we just so you guys know, because I don't know if you're at the first public hearing, but we talked about all of this on the very first one, and the developer promised us they would take care of these concerns, and at every single step, that has not happened, just for the record.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any other comments or questions?
Thank you guys for giving attention to this. It's really important to our neighborhood. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comments. Last call. Anyone else on Zoom? Anyone else in the room? Yes, sir.
Norman Fritz Froschner, Froeschner. I just want to agree with my neighbors on this in and out on 30A only. That's pretty much all we're asking about. One other note on the Tanglewood development, idea I had was that instead of making such a large commercial thing, to build a house on the second lot that's in our neighborhood and keep the commercial development on the first lot that is on 38. I know that was one thought I had that would make everybody in the neighborhood very happy. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Seeing no other hands up on Zoom, we will move forward with the motion that's on at the dais, which is a request to continue to the January 20th Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location, subject to resubmittal in response to outstanding comments. All in favor, please say aye. Oh, wait a minute. We did. I'm sorry.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we continue to the January 20th, 2021 TRC meeting.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to the January 20th, 2021 Technical Review Committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location, subject to resubmittal to address the outstanding comments. That moves us to item number 9, the Bella Rosa Apartments, also reviewed by Tim Brown. Stephen, if you could briefly introduce this one for us.
Yes, this is a major development order application submitted by Avcon, Inc., requesting approval to develop a 158-unit apartment complex and associated infrastructure, including a pool amenity, in 3 phases on 13.23 plus or minus acres with a future land use of mixed use and conservation residential, and a zoning category of village mixed use and conservation residential 2-to-1. If I could have the staff report entered into the record, please.
So entered.
Thank you. There are a not insignificant number of outstanding planning department comments, quite a few environmental comments, floodplain comments, and some public works comments as well. I'll turn it over to the applicant if you have any questions.
Mr. Chair, if I will, there are several engineering comments as well. I just wasn't able to get them in time for the staff report, but we have engineering comments as well.
Okay. Thank you. Applicant, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Nicole Underwood, and I'm with Avcon. We did receive the comments. We're working through them. What I brought today was we've addressed on this board the public works comments, where they've requested us to move the approach off of Sugar Drive further to the south. So we've actually addressed that, and we're currently working on making the modifications to the drainage we had it up here earlier, and
What are we doing about the conservation residential 2-to-1 zoning?
we are getting it, we're rezoning.
Okay. All right, so this application is moving forward, subject to satisfactory approval of that request.
Absolutely, yeah, we would like to move to.
Recognizing that we cannot guarantee that, because that's the purview, it's a legislative decision by the Board of County Commissioners. So if that doesn't get approved, we're back at this spot. But we can certainly entertain moving forward conditionally.
I'd like to move forward.
Okay. I know there was a comment from the reviewer about the mixed-use component of this. How are we meeting that requirement?
Could you identify that question on the?
Planning comment number 5.
It's acknowledged, and it's going to be identified in our plan set.
Okay. Any other questions about any of these comments, or?
I do have one I would like to bring to your attention. On page 5, it shows that we are providing 8.50 unit acres, and we're actually providing 12 unit acres.
Over the entire acreage. I expect that 75% comment in number 5 is going to impact that.
We'll get that addressed.
Okay. Any other questions that we could address for you?
We're currently working with staff. We will keep that coordination going and have our plans revised and resubmitted.
How soon do you think you could?
That, sir, I would have to get back with you on. I do not know. Don't know the timeline on that.
Okay. Given the large number of comments, I don't think we can conditionally move this forward without some of that being addressed, and specifically the comment about 75%.
Okay.
What date would you like to continue to?
We were hoping to move to the design board. So if that is not possible, then we will just move, I guess, push this to the next.
Well, I mean, have we advertised for DRB on this one? So it won't go to January. January 7, which means that ad goes in tomorrow. We don't have time to go to January 7, given the significant revision we're expecting based on these comments. So we're looking at the February 4th Design Review Board meeting. Tell you what, just in the interest of time, why don't we continue to the very next TRC meeting and see where you are on response to comments. If we need to continue it, and still have time to get to the February 4th DRB meeting for schedule purposes. And depending on what like we might be able to advertise for February Planning Commission. That's conditioned on what kind of resubmittal we get to comments. Still have outstanding issues, we may not be able to do 2 meetings.
When will we receive the additional engineering comments?
I think the county has them. I can forward them to you, or Stephen, did you receive my comments on this one? Yeah.
Okay, this item will get a public hearing at the Design Review Board, Planning Commission, and Board of County Commissioners based on the review process for this particular application. We're going to take just a moment to ask if anyone has any technical questions or wants to make a technical comment about the application at this point. Anyone on Zoom or anyone in the room? Yes, sir. If you could come to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
My name is Jim Rice, R-I-C-E, and I'm no relation to the other Rice unless my mama didn't tell me something. But I'm the HOA president of the Escada neighborhood, which is on Sugar Drive, so I represent 118 owners. And I think my biggest concern is the safety issue at the intersection of Sugar and 98. Right now, my understanding of the plan is that there's egress and exit and entrance on Sugar, and there is only a 2 to 3 car left-hand turn lane already at a no-light intersection. And this doesn't take into account that there's already a new subdivision of 40 homes that is only 3 homes completed, not to mention another subdivision that was just completed at the end of Sugar Drive of about approximately 25 more homes. And this is a no exit street. The only way out of Sugar is to 98. And so that's a great concern of just the safety issue. Again, I'm not an engineer, but why there's entrance and exit on Sugar is beyond my comprehension. If it's just on 98 is one thing. The second part is the traffic study, and again, I tried to read through the best I can. It stated that during a high volume period, there would be 70 additional cars at that intersection, and if it's a 158 unit apartment, I don't know how you come up with 70, but again, I don't have that formula, and I would think there would be additional cars. So safety is a big issue for me on Sugar Drive since there is no thoroughfare. The other impact, and I don't know if this is the right place, but the environmental impact of already today there was a dead fox on 98 right there at that intersection. There's significant bear incidents that are going on in our neighborhood as well as others. And so just that whole issue, and again, I'm not anti-development, but this is just a significant, and then altogether the oversaturation of apartment complexes that are taking place in a 2 square mile period. Today, which was due to me, approved an additional, at least next step of a 256 unit, which is very close. There are new buildings going up on 393, both south and north, and on 98. So I just, the whole traffic issue, on 98, we have no traffic light. I know, my understanding, there's one in the process, but I appreciate government, and I don't know when that'll ever happen. So safety is my biggest concern. I know there's a lot of other issues, which I'm glad that needs to be further clarity, but just on behalf of 118 owners of a residential, strictly residential, this is not a rental community, and the new construction, that the safety issue of that Sugar Drive and 98 is a big concern. But I appreciate you listening to me speak today.
Sure, and we certainly appreciate your comments. We are in the process of bringing forward a mobility plan for Walton County. Traffic congestion and moving people as opposed to moving cars. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but there is a proposal to connect Sugar Drive to Thompson Road at the south end. Part of another large development at the very end of Sugar Drive.
So it would go over through to Thompson, not straight down through. You hear all these rumors.
Wouldn't go south, it would go east to Thompson.
Correct. Okay. So that
not south.
That large partial at the south
end
southeast corner of Sugar, right where Rachel is?
No
Okay.
commitment on that yet, but that is, there's going to be some large development at the end of the road, and there is development entitlements that are on our future land use map that at some point someone is going to call on, just like the owner of the property at the corner.
That's fine.
But
If there's another way out, just my concern is, this is the only way out.
Oh, and I certainly understand that, and our recent Musselbuyer fire experience absolutely is clearly in everyone's mind, and that's why we're working on getting a southern exit from Sugar Drive over to Thompson, which would also include multi-use path, pedestrian facilities to connect all the way back to 30A.
So there's again, I apologize, not right, but so would there be an addition of sidewalks down Sugar?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the additional
Actually,
information.
we're looking for a multi-use path.
Great.
Larger than a sidewalk.
I'll report that to my homeowners then.
Expect some continued development there. We're absolutely cognizant of the idea there are no pedestrian facilities now. Occurred in the past there, and we need to catch up our transportation facilities.
And not, but the two current developments that are almost completed at the end, and the new one going across the street from they're doing a great job. So
Well, we're certainly aware of the additional traffic in the neighborhood and concerned about that. At some point, there will be a traffic light there at Sugar Drive. But one of the things that has to happen before the traffic light can be warranted is there to be actual created now, and all of this will support warranting a traffic light at some point in the future. We absolutely are working on a southern exit. All of the reasons that you voiced and others have voiced in the past also.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
But thank you for your comments.
Mr. Chair, can I just address two items that were mentioned in the, one for the intersection, like Mr. Carpenter stated, that the demand is going to warrant the traffic light. We're requesting an operational analysis right now based on the new subdivisions you mentioned, as well as this one being added to Sugar Drive. And then the 70 trips that you speak of, we calculate the proportionate fair share due based on the PM peak hour trips. So those are the trips that happen between, or that occur between 4 and 6 PM at night. So the 70 is why it's seemingly low for that number of apartment units, but that is only between the hours of 4 and 6 PM.
Anyone else wishing to ask a question or make a technical comment about this application? Got one hand up on Zoom, it looked like. Michelle? Michelle, can you state your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Michelle Hart, Harte. I also live in Escada, have owned since 2004. This development, Bella Rosa, is a very big concern. And we will do whatever we can to see that this does not happen. But, we can only do so much. What bothers me is you say the hours of 4 and 6, but in season, and we do have a water ski school down Sugar Drive, so there's traffic there. In season, I will say last summer, there was many days when there were 2 to 4 accidents at one time at Sugar Drive and 30A. Everyone now turns right to go on to 98 and does a U-turn because there's 4 people, 4 directions. You have cars all across the intersection. So sometimes when I come down 98 to turn into Sugar Drive, there's so many cars sitting there, I have to go straight down and turn around and come back to get in my neighborhood. So I'm very, very concerned, as most of us are in the neighborhood, about this. There's a lot of elderly drivers. My dad had a horrible accident at that Sugar Drive in 98 about 5 years ago. There were 3 cars totaled in that accident. 18-year-olds who had gotten rental cars somehow, and 2 of the people in that accident were those people. So, you know, to us, and you can see all the crosses and all the people who have been deceased. So, you know, I don't know when the light is going to happen. The turning lanes really have not done anything, but it is a major concern for our development. And adding this entrance to Bella Rosa on Sugar Drive, I noticed in the drawing that all the dumpsters are on the side of Sugar Drive. Again, you know, normal concerns for a quiet neighborhood. So that's all I have at this point.
Thank you. Anyone else? We have one other hand up on Zoom, and we have a hand in the back here. We'll go to the Zoom caller first. Deborah Lynch.
Deborah, yes, Lynch. I am a homeowner in Escada A off Sugar Drive. I have numerous things written down to ask about, but Mr. Rice got most of my questions, and he did a very fine job of asking these questions. The no light at Sugar and 98 was one of the questions, and you said we could expect some work done on that. How long would we have to go without a light? We were told by the state that we would get one within 5 years. We need one before 5 years. We also have problems with traffic, like they've talked about. It is a 2-lane dead-end road with 4 developments at this time. And now you're talking about another development around 30A coming on to Sugar. Like I said, Mr. Rice has brought up most of the points that I had questions about. And I would really like for people on the commission to check into this very, very closely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. I'll assure you we are checking into all of these items that you've raised, as we're absolutely concerned about the safety of Sugar Drive and US 98, and the idea of providing a secondary exit out of Sugar Drive over to Thompson Road. See, we have one hand up in our audience here. If you'd come to the podium and state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Darnell, Darnell. I'm a new resident and owner back in Escada. I just came off active duty orders. I'm Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, and my family is from this area, 5 generations back to actually serving under Andrew Jackson to settle the area. I moved back after completing my active duty time up in the Pentagon, and I have to say I've lived on Sugar Drive only for about 4 or 5 months. And the problem with, obviously, pedestrian safety is a huge issue. I have 2 children who attend school at Butler Elementary. I have the luxury of where my children walk on the Greenway path to and from school. They do not go across Sugar Drive whatsoever. However, on the times when I drive on Sugar Drive, I have almost hit 2 people personally. I did not see them. It was at dusk and it was at dawn. And on both occasions, the individuals were in the road. There's nowhere for them to go. Right now, all the residential activity going on and being built up, there's no crosswalks, there's no sidewalks, there is nothing. We have children out playing in the streets on a regular basis around Sugar Drive as well as in the subdivision. We're talking about 168 units, and how many people are going to come with that with their cars? The infrastructure is not there now. Again, I have the luxury of being in the neighborhood, closer and away from it for my own children, but I know personally driving on that road is it's very concerning for me. And I look out for my fellow residents, but again, I'm not seeing any activity around building up that pedestrian safety infrastructure yet. And we talk about vehicle, but where is it for the residents? When is that coming? Is that going to come with this, or is that going to come 5 to 10 years later? Because it's a little bit late at that point. The cut-through traffic now that will come whenever it does open back up, will we have the infrastructure in place to support that as well? Will that come with it, or will the road just open up and then we wait for the multi-use path? And so that's something I know that's probably planning, but when will that come? Those are the questions that
I can't give you a specific schedule on that. Any operational improvements that would be required to support this particular development would be constructed concurrent with the construction of this particular development. The county is in the process of planning a multi-use path along Sugar Drive, the entire length of that. We're also in negotiations with a potential developer at the south end who's looking to develop a large parcel at the very south end between Thompson Road and Sugar Drive to include a connector road from the south end of Sugar Drive over to Thompson, not to channel traffic from 30A over to Sugar Drive. I can't see that particular traffic path developing because those folks already go up to Thompson Road, where we expect there will probably be a traffic light before Sugar Drive, based on the development that supports a traffic signal warrant in that location. But we're absolutely concerned about pedestrian safety. I'm very familiar with this neighborhood, and I have walked the southern end of Sugar Drive all the way back to 30A, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the developments that are over there. I know a number of people that live along that, including one of our commissioners. So we are very, very cognizant of the safety concerns over there and what additional development would do. But as we said, that additional development is needed to support getting a traffic light there, which everybody wants today, but because of the rules related to putting a traffic light on a U.S. highway, it has to be supported by a certain amount of engineering data to actually interrupt the flow of traffic at that intersection with a traffic signal. But we're absolutely in the process of supporting that. We want a traffic signal there, but we have to go through a process to get it, and part of that is demonstrating that we've got development that requires it.
So another thing too is right now in the morning, so you talked about you're looking at peak hours between 4 and 6. You mentioned that that's the rule, that's how you're doing the study. Right now in the morning, the school starts between about 7:15 and 7:30, and if anybody, you've all been around 38 at that time, you got 1,000 students at Butler Elementary. I mean, it backs all the way up to 98 and it stops. I'm coming over on the days that I do happen to drive and drop off children, and which it takes me longer to drive than it does for me to walk, because I have to sit at 98 and wait and then do the chicken dance to get to the middle of 98 and then wait again to turn left, and then maybe I can catch the light at the right time to get onto 38 and then get to Butler. So right now, leaving my house in Escada where I can walk 3 minutes to the school, it takes me 20 minutes sometimes to do that turn. So obviously connecting to Thompson will alleviate that, but then again, the traffic still backs up down 30A there as well. So these are and you guys are familiar with the neighborhood, but that peak hour traffic that's going on, that happens between about 7:15 and 7:30 in the morning and 7:35. That's when the school is going, and it backs up all the way around.
Right, and we're very familiar with that. Our traffic concurrency management system requires traffic studies to be performed in a manner that projects what the traffic would be between that peak PM period for consistency among the traffic studies. Recognizing that that may not be the peak period in the neighborhood, certainly if you have a school in the neighborhood. One of the things that is in the planning process, the school district Publix at Santa Rosa Beach for a new elementary school and high school. So the overflow at the Butler Elementary School There is a plan to address that. Will that eliminate the traffic on 30A there in front of the school? No, ma'am, it will not. Every school experiences the same kind of thing now that we're unable to provide neighborhood schools like we used to. I'm a pretty old guy, but when I was growing up, I used to walk to elementary school. And that was how the definition of a neighborhood was established for planning purposes. You know, that your neighborhood is that distance you can walk in about 15 minutes, typically a quarter of a mile in any direction. Neighborhood. And that definition was born out of that's where a school was located, and that was the surrounding neighborhood that supported that particular school. Unfortunately, with the change in both our economy and the need to be as efficient as possible in providing public services, specifically education, and the need to make sure our schools are secure, we're unable to put neighborhood schools in the neighborhoods like them into. Because of the need to consolidate and secure the school and have a school large enough with enough population that it meets the state standards for efficient construction and those kinds of things. I wish we could go back to when we had neighborhood schools and kids could walk to school. We're certainly moving in the direction of making our neighborhoods more walkable because that is one of the foundations of South Walton and the values that have been created down here, the walkability of the neighborhoods. I certainly grew up in one. We are moving towards more walkability. I expect you'll see much more of that come out in the next few months when we talk about our mobility plan, because it has transit, pedestrian, bicycle facilities that we can't really support with present means of mitigating traffic impacts and the funds we get from that. So we're changing our system so it's more equitable for everyone, and it gives us the opportunity to spend money on things other than just traffic lanes for automobiles. Now, that isn't going to happen overnight, but we have created a plan for the next 20 years for the entire county. That will be moving forward to the county commission in the next couple of months. I invite you to participate in that process and understand what that is, because that's how we get out of where we are today. We got to have a plan. That plan helps us get state and federal funds, in addition to the local funds that we collect through taxes and gas taxes, and that's how we pay for these improvements. But what we're trying to do is create that plan so everybody sees what that plan is, what we're working towards. And we haven't really been able to do that until now. And in the next few weeks, you'll get to see what that is. It's actually available for review now. We had a workshop with the county commission on the 10th, and that video is available on the county website under the BCC meetings. I invite you to go take a look at that and see what the introduction of that plan is. I say all that to say we are very concerned about transportation, the traffic congestion, and most importantly, pedestrian safety and bicycle safety. All those things are being considered here. We've asked for an operational analysis also, traffic impacts. And we've got a long way to go before this project gets approved, if it does. There's also a land use change that's a condition of approval of this particular application that, if it doesn't get approved, could change the site plan significantly. If it does get approved, this item will be able to move forward. But we got a ways to go yet before it meets the requirements of the comp plan.
For taking my comments. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The mobility plan, if you'll contact Kristen Shell of our staff, she'll be able to hook you up with that. Anyone else wishing to make a comment about this particular application? I see no more hands up, no more hands on Zoom. entertain a motion to January 6th.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we continue to January 6th, 2021.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Donna. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed
Aye.
likewise?
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to January 6th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location, pending a resubmittal to the outstanding comments. That appears to be the end of our project review this morning. So thank everyone for coming. I think we have one last item, and that is to approve the 2021 TRC meeting date schedule. Have a motion to approve the schedule.
I'll motion that we approve the regular meeting schedule for 2021.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Yes, sir.
My name is Matthew Parker. I apologize, I was a little bit late. I was wondering if I could speak to item number 3 that's already been heard. For me personally, I'm not against the project as redesigned. I have no objections, but I did commit to a neighbor that I would submit an affidavit that she filled out, and I'd like the opportunity just to provide that to the county.
We can entertain that. Can we finish the approving our meeting schedule? If you'll just wait just 1 second.
Yes, sir, sorry.
We had a motion and we had a second to approve our meeting schedule for 2021. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed
Aye.
likewise? Okay, our schedule's approved, and we'll recognize Mr. Parker with his comments on item number 3, which is Holly Grove subdivision.
Yes, sir, I really didn't have any comments for myself personally. One of my neighbors, Miss Margie Miller, that lives back down Old Ferry Road, gave me an affidavit that she wanted me to present. She is unable to be here, so I just wanted to provide that for the record. Thank you.
We'll add this to the record. I think we've conditioned the project subject to adequately to address the concerns in the affidavit. We'll add that to the record. Thank you, Matt. There being no other business, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, we stand adjourned this morning. Thank you very much for your attendance. And if we don't see you before Christmas, have a wonderful holiday.